So, good morning, everybody. Thanks very much, Stefania, for introducing me and for handing me the floor. My name is Maximilian Heber, but I'm absolutely fine with going by Max. I'm a member of the Uni-Constance Open Science team together with my colleague, Matthias Landwehr, who's with us today as well. Thanks very much for being here. Today, I would like to present what our work package is about, namely work package 5 of ERUA, dedicated to open science, called for transparent research and public engagement. So let's delve right into the matter. What is WP5 about? Let me just read out to you what our motto is. WP5 constitutes the central pillar of the research dissemination strategy that ERUA intends to promote within member universities and within the Alliance as a whole. So what does this mean to be in more specific terms? It means that we want to foster the idea of open science both within the Alliance as a whole and within each member university. It means that we want to build structures to collaborate in all aspects of open science. And it means that we want to pursue an identification of the needs which the researchers have with regards to that specific topics. In other words, how can we tie in what we are doing with what the researchers need? To do that, it is our task and our objective to prepare technical services, digital technologies, and new collaborative tools together. So let me just briefly introduce you what we've done so far. We've established a meeting series called the Open Science Meetups, which take place on a regular basis once a month. It's usually every last Thursday a month. And the general idea of that meetup series is that we want to provide a setting in which casual exchange on open science is possible. Very important here, all members from all ERUA universities are very, very cordially invited to drop by anytime. So if you stumble upon a topic that you're interested in, or if you even think all of the topics are interesting, which I certainly hope, you're more than welcome to drop by anytime. So as far as the topics that we've covered so far are concerned, we started off with a bit of an open science jeopardy, where we sort of engaged people in a playful manner to sort of work out what definitions of open science and open access terms are. Then we had what I thought was very fruitful and very lively discussion on what we mean by openness. I mean, we all sort of have an idea what open science can be about, what it's supposed to be about. But this discussion was about, working out where certain differences were between different nations as well, what certainly is an important element of openness from a Danish point of view, from a German point of view, from a Greek point of view, etc. Then we had a session in March on open educational resources, which I did together with a colleague of mine at the Uni-Constance. And just a couple of weeks ago, we had a session on open data science in which I collaborated with a biologist from the Max Planck Institute of Animal Behavior, and he presented his take on open data science as far as he implements it in his research. Future topics will be the Paris 8 Open Science Poll, which we'll be doing on May 18th. You're all invited to come there. I'm sure it'll be very interesting because my colleague Goran from the University of Paris, my colleague and friend, is going to present what the Open Science Poll is about. The Open Science Poll, to describe it very briefly, is a sort of amalgam of measurements, which the University of Paris 8 sort of does to enhance and foster the idea of open science within the institution. So I'm pretty sure that it'll be very interesting for all of us to listen to that and to see what he suggests can be done in terms of open science, to see what will be interesting to be implemented within other ERUA universities. In June, we'll be having a session on open access journals in which I will collaborate with a professor of linguistics here at the University of Constance, who's got his own open access journal called the Journal of Historical Syntax. And there he will present how the journal is financed, how sort of text-based workflows look like, and how he also came about the idea of opening an open access journal. I would very much like this meetup series to be something we collaborate on. So it doesn't, from my point of view, it doesn't make sense if I force topics on people. So I would very much like to know your takes, your suggestions, your ideas on things that we can do in the context of a meetup. So if you have an interesting topic of open science, which I may not be aware of, please, I would very much appreciate it if you drop me a line and we can talk about it. And I'm pretty sure we can find a suitable slot for all of us. Excuse me, Jay Kara, could you please mute yourself? I can hear your ringtone in the background. Could you please mute yourself? Thanks very much. Okay, what else have we done? We've conducted and submitted the
Just a second, Steffi, I think that you can mute it.
Thank you. Thanks very much. So what else have we done? We've conducted and submitted the ERUA SWOT report. What is a SWOT report? SWOT is an abbreviation, an acronym to be more precise, which represents the words strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And that is something that we try to work out in the context of this alliance, of the survey. In other words, where are our institutional strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, both as far as the alliance is concerned and as far as the individual members are concerned. As strengths, these are just a couple of examples, right? This is not the whole SWOT analysis, not our whole findings, but just to give you a bit of an introduction what we found out. We found out that as a strength, all universities or members of all universities tend to have a very good awareness of open science and as intrinsic motivation to pursue open science efforts. We also tend to provide a wide range of services. As far as weaknesses are concerned, there is a lack of awareness within each university about which open science-related services are offered. And then we try to sort of work out where we stand and what opportunities arise from the circumstances which you're in. And we felt that there is a rising awareness on a national level, which we can sort of use to pursue open access and open science more jointly, and that we can sort of take a leading role or a guiding role in that movement. As threats, we found out that the topic is rather complex, both in terms of the university level and as far as the political level is concerned. So that's something we need to, always factor in when we collaborate in terms of open science. And the purpose really of that survey was to find out both where we are, both with regards to the individual members and with regards to the alliance as a whole. So very much along the lines of what Christian said repeatedly in the course of the last couple of days, and very closely along those lines. It is very much our objective to see what strengths we have, what weaknesses are, but also what opportunities there are, how we can sort of work around the strengths, how we can sort of neutralize weaknesses, etc. And where we can sort of collaborate jointly to pursue efforts of open science. So what else have we done so far? We've started working on 2 open science courses, which can be and will be implemented in the ERUA universities. One of them is a basic course and one is a more advanced course. To get there, we decided to take stock of what experience all WP5 members have made in their universities with open science courses, and based on these experiences to build a rough structure of what elements these courses can contain and how we can sort of work together to make this a very, very fruitful, very multi-perspective course. The plan for May of 2022 was to write the concept for both courses, and I'm delighted to say that I finished that a couple of days ago, so that's already done. And the plan for fall of 2022 is to create the basic course and to implement it. In a year later, we shall create and implement the more advanced course. Right. So let's look at the deliverables again to see, because I think it makes sense to look at the deliverables, because I think that shows us what we want to do, where we are and what we want to go for. So I've already elaborated on the SWOT report, on the OS capacities within the Alliance. We shall also do a repository evaluation to see what our repositories sort of pursue, where they are and where we can collaborate there. We shall also do an RDM study report, community study report, to see how we can sort of make a fruitful collaboration within our scientific communities on the courses I've already touched. Then we also, well, our original deliverable was to write an Open Science Live Meetup report. But when we went about the plannings to write that report, we weren't sure whether in summer of 2022 a live meeting would be possible due to the pandemic. So we decided to do something else instead. So we sort of turned this live meetup report into a monthly virtual reports, because we knew whatever the pandemic would, do to us, we would still be holding the monthly meetup. So that is something we could very much be sure would happen. And that is also something we thought would be interesting to write and report about. In other words, what is the participation in these meetups like? Where are we going with this, etc., etc. And yes, as far as participation is concerned, so far we've always had, from my point of view, a rather good number of participants who are very interested, but it certainly wouldn't hurt to run a bit more adverts for the topic, because I think Open Science Meetup is something really very interesting for pretty much everyone in the university. So when you see in the ERUA calendar that there is a new meetup, I would very much encourage you to sort of spread the word in your universities on this and to invite people to drop by. And as the last main deliverables, we shall be doing an ambassador strategic concept. But that is rather far in the future, so I don't want to delve into that in too great detail. So that is, again, what the deliverables were about. That is, again, shows what the most urgent and the most sort of the next things we want to focus on are, namely to identify the relevant repositories, to sort of create a research design for how we can go about that RDM community study, and also to do the first meetup report. Okay, that is what our work package is about. I think I'm a bit ahead of time, but I hope that's all right. So I just want to say merci beaucoup pour être ici. Thanks very much for being here. Danke für Ihre Partizipation. I don't speak Bulgarian or Greek, but I think you get what I want to say. So thanks, and I'll hand the floor back to Stefania and Eduard.